Jared Mogard has been on a roll, winning the first two ASRS Sim Marketing Solutions Cup Series events. Tonight, Jared and the rest of the field will try to tackle the world's fastest half mile, or known as Thunder Valley. It's the Bristol Motor Speedway. Hello everybody, welcome to 3Y TV for the Sim Design Concepts 200. I am Tanner Sharp, and sitting next to me is Mr. Peter Short, and back in the production truck is Mr. Carlos Acosta. Peter, every time I race here at Bristol, I feel like I am caught in a blender, going around and around so dang fast. Tell me, what do you know about Bristol?
Yeah, Bristol is one of those tracks, they call it the bull ring for a reason. You're flying around this track at 120 plus miles an hour, and it's only a half mile. When you're going around it so fast, sometimes you forget which one's the front stretch and which one's the back stretch, and it really can make for a tricky race. Another thing that's really big about Bristol Motor Speedway is variable banking. This track has the highest banking that we'll see all year long, and the top line is a little bit higher banked than the low line, which makes for some very exciting side-by-side racing, and also makes it very difficult to pass for these drivers, which can lead to lots of contact. So that's something definitely that we'll have to watch out for tonight, Tanner.
Kind of like a little bit of a mini Darlington, because first on fresh tires you can use up that bottom line, but as soon as the tires start to wear out more and more, you're finding that higher groove right next to the wall, so you can have that good run off. But today is so much different than what you're mostly seeing here on iRacing, and that's night racing. Today it's not night racing, it's day racing. That track temperature you and I were talking about just before we were going live, 119 degree track temperature. The air temperature is 88 degrees. How big will that affect your corner exit today and on entrance?
Yeah, I've been watching these guys go around, and I've seen a lot of people get really loose up off the corner after they've got about 5 to 10 laps on their tires. We saw last week at Kentucky Motor Speedway, we saw them start to get loose up off the corner, and I think it's going to be really treacherous off the corner, especially out of turn number 2. I've seen a lot of people struggle there, so I wouldn't be at all surprised to see a couple spins out of turn number 2 and even turn number 4, because turn number 4 the track tends to narrow up quite a bit out of there, so it's going to have to be something we'll watch. But you know, one other thing is, as this sun beats down on the track temperature might change a little bit, which could adversely affect these guys, or it could help them. We'll just have to wait as the race progresses.
Yes, absolutely. So now, since we talked a little bit about the track itself, let's talk about the drivers. One driver particularly has been on fire since the start of the season, and we only ran 2 events so far, and that is Jared Mogard. He has started outside the top 10 in the first 2 races at Atlanta and Kentucky, and he's going for 3 in a row. What does Jared have to do, since it's such a different racetrack like Kentucky and Atlanta?
Yeah, we saw him last week at Kentucky qualify quite far back in the field, and by lap number 10, he was already inside the top 10. It was absolutely crazy how he was able to get through the field, but tracks at like Kentucky and Atlanta, those are miles and a half. You have a lot of racing room. You can pass cars pretty easily. Here at Bristol, he's got to go out there, set a good lap in qualifying, because if he doesn't set a good lap in qualifying, that will set him way back in the pack. And like I mentioned earlier, it can be pretty difficult to pass here at Bristol Motor Speedway because of that variable banking. And so if he gets a bad qualifying spot, not only does that put him far back in the field, but it also puts him in the bullseye for any accidents that might happen. So if I'm Jared Mogard, I'm going to put all my emphasis on qualifying here. And we see he's put some pretty good lap times here in practice.
Man, you already got my head caught in a blender already just by saying all that. He will be caught in a bullseye. It's just, you talk like it's just like a mini Talladega, for goodness sakes. And technically it is. Back when I was in high school or in junior high, we used to watch the Bristol races or NASCAR races every single week. And we called a Bristol race a flip of a coin race, just like Daytona and Talladega. So, this race is all sorts of action. It actually is a place where people used to buy tickets all the time. Now it's kind of died down now these days, but back in the 90s, man, the night races here at Bristol is one they'll really watch, and the ones that really sold out for tickets, for sure. Drivers I really want to keep an eye on today after the first 2 events is, of course, Jared Mogard, but Corey Silva, who's second in points here. Let's actually go through the points here. The first top 10 drivers. Jared Mogard is leading the points after winning the first 2 races. Second place, Corey Silva, is only 9 points back of Jared. He's got 2 top 5s and 2 top 10s. Those 2 drivers are the only 2 drivers that have finished in the top 5 every single race. Evan Black is currently third in points, 14 points back. Fourth place is Mitchell Brown, who is 20 points back in fourth. Fifth place, Brad Cross, and sixth place, Danny Rogers. You mentioned him before going live here today. Alexander Pelican is going to be in seventh place in points right now. He's 25 points back. Alan Young, 27 points back in eighth. Jared Haggerty is in ninth, who is 33 points back. And rounding out the top 10 in points is Jason Stewart, who's 35 points back. So relatively close between the top 35 guys. Anything could happen. It's especially on a track like Bristol with about, I'd say about a good 40 drivers out there here this evening.
Yeah, it's great to see such a big field, but when you have a big field like this, things happen really fast. And you said it, this track's like a blender. If there is an accident in front of you and you're in the middle of the corner and your car is completely loaded, it can be really hard to see around that corner and see any accident that might be happening in front of you, especially with this many cars, because the track can get blocked very, very rapidly. And I expect to see drivers who can keep their car clean and out of trouble. We've seen that out of Corey Silva. I think Corey Silva's ran some fantastic races this year. He's kind of stayed with the car for the entire event, kept his nose clean, and kept it near the front. I expect to see drivers who can do that here tonight come away with a great finish.
Let's talk a little bit what happened a season ago here in the American Sim Racing Series of the 2018 Premier Cup Series season. Brian Yazik dominated the race last season, leading 117 laps after starting in second place. And I'm showing, according to my notes here, the first four drivers started within the top six. So you mentioned it, that track position is going to be key. But if you get caught in that bullseye, it's going to make your day such a very long day and a frustrating day. So I can only imagine what's going to be like if you're going to start mid to back of the pack, and that's certainly what you don't want to do. You want to have, if any out of the races you want to have a good race, it's got to be here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm looking at the results from last year. Last year in the ASRS Cup Series, we saw only 20 finishers. And some of those drivers were disqualified. And that's something that I'm going to be watching as this race goes on. This league has a 13 incident point limit. And at a track like Bristol, where you hit the wall quite a bit, you might get in some contact with some other cars, those incident points can rack up pretty quickly. And if you get to that 13 point limit, you will be disqualified from the event. And that did play a part in only 20 cars finishing last year.
Qualifying session, and we are live here on iRacing Live as well here this evening. Not just 3Wide TV, but iRacing Live here tonight. So thank you for joining us here tonight. Keep the chat up here on the 3Wide TV chat YouTube, as we will try to get back to you if you guys want to talk to us throughout the race here this evening. Qualifying session has begun so far. What is your line around Bristol? What kind of line do you want to take? I mean, and what's the preferred qualifying spot if you don't get the pole?
Yeah, definitely. When these guys go out there to run their qualifying laps, there's two different mentalities that you can run here at Bristol. And you kind of mentioned it earlier. You can run that bottom line for just a few laps. And usually in a qualifying situation, running the bottom at Bristol is the fastest way around. However, we'll see definitely some people run the higher line because that's the line they're more comfortable with. I'm not 100% sure how these cars are handling. It looks like they've been loose from what I've seen. And if they're loose, it might not be advantageous to run the bottom line. And currently we're seeing some times come down through this qualifying session. These drivers are going to get 2 laps of qualifying around this racetrack.
Ooh, yeah, you see that car right there in the number 6. That's Jared Haggerty just getting really loose off of turn number 4, and you touched up on that, on the looseness it's going to be here this evening.
Yeah, I was watching his teammate Mitch Brown, and Mitch was running the high line. He's in the 5th position currently, and Mitch caught that outside wall in his second lap, which disqualified his second lap. So that's going to be something to also watch out here as we see Brian Yazik. He's gone to the top of the charts in that number 55 machine. And there is Will Worsler. Got to keep an eye on him. Worsler has qualified on pole in the first 2 events. And tonight we'll have to see if he can back that up in that number 29 machine. So far, does not look like it.
Yeah, and every time Will Worsler had got on the pole so far this season in the first two events, he's finished outside the top 10. So he's looking for a good night here tonight. Yes, a good qualifying position is good key, but he needs to, put the beginning of the race together, the middle, and the end. Put everything together, and you'll finish well, or even maybe a win.
Yeah, we've seen Will Worsler make some slight mistakes, and we got to speak to him after the event last week. In the first race of the season, he got a black flag for lane changing, and then last week he missed his pit stall during a green flag pit stop, and that was just absolutely vital that he keeps things together. And I think he also got a speeding penalty last week, so that further hurt his possibility of winning. So there is that number 29 machine out there on track.
Oh, yeah. With that being said, what you just touched up on right there, Peter, is that Will Worsler, you're sitting second right now. Now it's just, okay, now I got to focus on race trim. I have to avoid mistakes. Bristol is a very tough track to avoid mistakes on. But if I can get very little to no damage and be able to finish up there, it's a good paying points day.
Yeah, definitely. You just got to stay out of trouble. You got to keep your nose up front if you can and just keep it clean. And if you get into a situation where there's some people around you that are racing really hard and it's early in the race, there's got to be a little bit of give and take that you're going to have to use here at Bristol Motor Speedway because it's just such a tight racetrack with everyone so close quarters, only half mile. You really got to use that give and take to your advantage because give and take is part of the game. It's definitely part of racing. Using that give and take, knowing when to use it, and knowing when not to use it, which is usually in the last 10 to 15 laps. That's all part of the strategy here on the iRacing service.
How about Sam Maxwell? We were talking about him before we are going live here today. I do believe he suffered a penalty of some sort last season. You would have more information on that there, Peter. But so far, he's qualified in the top 5 position. I would say if I was Sam Maxwell, get all that stuff kind of out of your head and just kind of focus on the race here tonight since you're starting in the 5th place position. Tell me all about Sam Maxwell, Peter.
Yeah, Sam got a written warning for a little outburst during the race last week, but that's only a written warning. It's something that I don't think he's going to have any trouble shaking off here at a track like Bristol Motor Speedway because you know what? At this track, you got to get everything out of your head because it's just a mental battle. Just whatever position you are on track, it does become pretty mental like here, and I'm sure that won't be on the forefront of his mind once the green flag drops.
Top left-hand corner of the screen is how many minutes is left of qualifying trim right now. So we're down to 4.5 minutes. So far, Brian Yazik has a 15.262, as you can see. And then you got Will Worsler and Danny Rogers. Evan Black, who's been pretty consistent as well this year, is starting up a fourth place so far. Kind of looking throughout the field here, up and down. This is going to be a really huge field here tonight. There's going to be 40 drivers at least. That's going to be starting here this evening. There's a couple drivers I am seeing in this event that did not qualify for this event here tonight, and that's one of them is Pete Baskins in the number 3. I do recognize him according to my notes here. I'm trying to see if there's anybody else who's not supposed to be in here that did not qualify for this evening's event as one of the go-home drivers. But although there's some drivers in the back of the pack, I'm seeing such as, I'd say if you're going to be starting outside the top 10, you really got to be careful. That's just my train of thoughts. Drivers such as Michael Krobach, who's 15th, we know he's fast. He's actually sitting outside looking into the top 10 in points. You got Troy Haight back there, Josh Walker. Corey Silva is one of those drivers as well. I think Corey's actually second in the point standings so far, 23rd. Jim Foose is back there as well. Jim Foose was kind of decent fast in practice. Do believe he was actually hitting the wall in practice, but but nonetheless, Ty Hester as well is back there too. So we got some fast drivers who are in the back of the pack, and I don't know if that's where they want to be, and I think they're going to be mentally frustrated by the time they hit lap 5.
Yeah, but the good thing about a track like Bristol is you can use strategy to get up front. Getting tires at Bristol is important, don't get me wrong, but if you can use 2 tires or stay out under a yellow flag, for example, and get some track position, that can be all you need to get up front for the run. And I'm sure these drivers will be using strategy throughout the night, so that'll be something to keep an eye on. And if you're just now joining us here in the ASRS League for the first time, we have so many drivers here take time. You mentioned it. We have go or go homers. We have people who don't qualify for this event. We actually have a pre-qualifying session that goes on just a little bit earlier to weed out drivers making it into the show here tonight. And some of those drivers are not in tonight's event that already missed out in the pre-qualifying session. So it's a great problem to have so many drivers that you have people go home, but I'm sure those drivers are a little bit upset that they won't be racing here tonight, but hopefully they're joining us here on iRacing Live or 3 Wide TV.
Absolutely. Now, one thing that's unique about Bristol is that I think it's the only one in NASCAR. Today, it has 2 pit lanes. Explain the pit roads on where you're going to end up pitting half the field in the first half.
So you have, like you said, you have your 2 pit roads, which is a pretty cool thing if you're a driver, but at the same time, it can be very tricky because if you forget where your pit stall is, that can be almost game over for you because you can get 2 laps down very quickly at a track like this if you miss your pit stall or something bad happens, you get into pit road poorly. But yeah, there's the pits on the front stretch and pits on the back stretch. Usually they're split in half. So if you're in the top half of the field, you'll be pitting on the front stretch. If you're in the back half of the field, you'll be pitting on the back stretch. And it'll be kind of cool to see. We'll have to keep our eyes on it throughout the night. It might make some calling on pit road a little bit difficult, but under green flag racing, you can enter either the front stretch or the back stretch, depending on which one you're on. If you're under caution, you will go down your respective pit road as well. So definitely something to keep an eye on tonight here at Bristol Motor Speedway.
In any iRacing event here on the iRacing simulator, wherever you qualify from first all the way down to 40 is going to be you really have to do the math in your head. So if you're qualified 20th, you will be the 20th pit box. It's just like from the very first pulsar gets the first pit box and so forth on straight down. And that goes for at any other racetrack. So we got about 10 seconds left of qualification. This is practically going to wrap it up. Brian Yazik looks like he is going to get the pole for this evening's event. Last year he started second and dominated the race, and I believe he won. I don't know if he won the race. I don't think he did. I think Jeff Ward won the race last year. Or maybe he did win the race last year. We were just looking at that.
Yeah, Brian did win the race. He led 117 of the 200 laps last year, and surprisingly, he had 0 incidents in this race last year. So he was one of only a few drivers in the field that did.
Man, give that man some double points last year for doing that kind of, or maybe even give him a cookie. Who knows? I don't know. But man, you got to be really, I don't know what to call it. Usually you're not trying hard enough if you don't have a couple scrapes, but nonetheless, we're going to take 2 pace laps around Bristol, so let's go straight to the grid. Brian Yazik, congratulations on getting the pole for this evening. He's going to be out front, side by side with Will Worsler. That ends his streak of 2 in a row. He will start in second. Danny Rogers is going to qualify in the 3rd position tonight. Evan Black will qualify 4th. Sam Maxwell will qualify 5th. Good for him to start in the top 5 this evening. And Mark Whitley will start 6th. Jonathan Holstein is going to start in 7th. Kelsey Rogers in 8th. Chris Forster is going to start 9th, and rounding out the top 10, Mitch Brown there, Peter.
Yeah, Jared Mogard, winner of your first 2 races of the season. He'll roll off from P11. Richard Stallings will join him on the outside of row number 6. Lee Staples will start in 13th, and joining him will be Travis Rucker on row number 7. On row number 8, we have Michael Krobach and Robbie Baskins making his first start of the season, I do believe. And then right behind them is the 17th position. That's Josh Walker in the number 58. Troy Haight will be alongside him in the 18th position. In 19th, we have Clarence Bonner, and 20th, we have Alexander Pelican.
Blackjack position tonight, Jared Haggerty is going to start 21st. Scott Smith in 22nd. Corey Silva deep in the field, back of the pack, 23rd. Jason Stewart, 24th. Jim Foose, league organizer, is going to start 25th. Tyler Sawville is going to start 26th. Alex Geese is going to start 27th. Kevin Sargent will start 28th. Ty Hester, 29th. Rounding out the top 30 is going to be Alan Young there, Peter.
Yeah, in 31st, we have Brad Croston, his bright orange number 30 machine. To his outside, we have Devin Serra making his first start in the number 20 machine. Chris Titus right behind them. And then we have Jamie Moore in 34th. In the 35th position, Tim Knott, and alongside him, Pete Baskins, although Baskins will not start this event. In the 37th position, we have Andy Zeltman, and alongside him, Jack Wells, Kevin Mingus right behind them, and Kenny Baker and Christopher Lane will be the 41st man out there. So these drivers get 2 pace laps. I'm sure their heart rate has gone up, and I'll definitely can't wait for that green flag. But as soon as that green flag drops, I'm sure their stress level will go through the roof.
If you're a race fan, you're excited. If you're a driver, you're frustrated. If you're a crew chief, you're biting your nails. I mean, this is Bristol, outside Daytona and Talladega. Bristol is probably one of those tracks where it is mentally frustrating and just a flip of a coin that anything can happen. Probably maybe outside of Martinsville as well. Martinsville can be pretty intense as well. So we're coming on the back straightaway. We're coming to take the green flag here. Mr. Brian Yazik on the pole. He's going to bring them out down to the green flag. Folks, I hope you're ready. Grab a drink or a good old cold one. Sit down in your chair. Hopefully that thing's got seatbelts, because you're in for a wild ride of 200 laps here at Bristol, and we're green.
Green flag is out. Will Worsler in the highline got a great start to the outside of Brian Yazik, but Yazik's got that inside line, which might be preferred for first few laps, and in fact, he is going to be able to clear Will Worsler as they go down the back stretch, but they're side by side right behind them for the 3rd position. That's Danny Rogers to the inside of, that is Evan Black in the number 92. 2 drivers who have had some really good races so far this season. A little bit of a wall contact just behind him. Oh, contact! That is Danny Rogers. He's going around. Rogers. He saved it. What a save for that number 02 machine. He's still fighting that thing down there. Oh, he's lost it.
Caution. This will be a caution.
Yep. And
yeah, that he tried making that transition back onto the racetrack in turn 4, and it got the car out of shape because he had the left side tires on the flat and he had the right side tires on the banking, and the car was just totally out of shape when he did that, and he brought it on the track to bring it up for the first caution.
Yeah, he got into the side of Mark Whitley in the number 37 machine. It just got that rear end of the car all up out of shape, and he did a great job trying to save it, and it just, man, he fought all the way through turn number 4 to keep that thing going straight, and unfortunately it just kind of got him there at the end.
Our race leader, Brian Yazik, man, he must have struck the wall as the race leader at some point. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it happened in turns 1 and 2, and it did. I do remember seeing it when a lot of activity was going on in the midfield. So Brian Yazik's had some pretty good right front damage. So far, he currently stays out. And I'm not seeing a lot of takers on pit road at this point. A lot of drivers trying to keep their track position. Usually, if you don't have limited pit stuff or anything like that on iRacing, which I don't believe that even exists, but usually you would see maybe the back half of the field would pit under this caution, just to kind of keep their nose clean a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think that if you're a little bit further back, you might want to come down and pit, just get some fresh tires on it. But like I said, track position is important here, and we only had about 1 green flag lap. So I'm sure these drivers in the back of the pack, they might think about pitting, but they might just want to get off cycle from these leaders and get that track position a little bit later. There is one driver taking tires. That's the number 46 of Robbie Baskins. He's down on pit road. He might be having some connection issues as well. So
there was a driver, I was going to say, during the pace lap that was having some connection issues.
Yeah, it looks like Robbie might be having those connection issues. I'm kind of watching him as he comes off pit road, and that's kind of one of those things that, as a driver, you have to face here racing online. You know, it's kind of can be a struggle because it's out of your hands, but it's something you have to deal with at times.
Great thing about Bristol, it's a half mile, and these pace laps can go pretty quick, but we still have the pace car lights still turned on at the moment, which indicates to the driver that it is not time to go green yet. So once the pace car lights turn off, that tells the drivers that it is 1 to go next time by. So next time by, they will take the green flag. So we'll have to see once the pace car hits the start-finish line to see if the pace car lights will turn off. And the best view of that is, of course, Brian Yazik and Will Worsler, along with Evan Black. Every driver has an indication on their screen, on their PCs, whether it's time to go 1 green. So Danny Rogers, a little bit update on him. He is in the back of the pack, currently 1 lap down at the moment. He does have some pretty significant right front damage, so hopefully he can just take it easy the rest of the race. If not, it'll be a long one for sure.
Yeah, pace car lights have gone off, so we will be going green this time. Got to keep an eye on Jared Mogard. You know, he's won our first 2 races so far this season. He's already up 3 spots from where he started this event. Started in P11, now up into the 8th position in that machine. So definitely a pretty good start for him.
All right, here we go. Pace car light. Pace car is going to head down pit road. It's going to be Brian Yazik once again. And so far, Will Worsler totally misjudging this restart. I had a little bit of a mistake on his end, just a little bit. But the great thing for Will is that he's on the higher line, the preferred line on corner exit. Look at that jump he's getting on the number 92 machine of Evan Black. So Worsler puts himself back up in the 2nd position. Right behind him is the number 37, Mark Whitley. But we got action all over the place on this joint. Number 73, Jonathan Holstein, is on the bottom side trying to make up some ground. Everybody trying to fight for the higher line of the racetrack. Number 72 back there, Michael Krobach, is another driver who's trying to make up some position. After starting 15th, he's already up into the 12th position, fighting with the number 83 of Travis Rucker.
Yeah, and what you see here is a couple drivers trying to dive back down to that inside line. We've seen some people get stuck up there on the high side, and they're just kind of strung out up there, but I think every once in a while you'll see these drivers dive down to the inside to try and make that low line work. It doesn't seem to be working right now for Evan Black because he's moving backward in that number 92 machine there as you ride on board with Jared Mogard. And Mogard has now gone around Evan Black, and Black has taken the opportunity. Oh, the 14 car, that would be
Chris Foster.
Yeah, Chris Foster.
Forster, yeah, no caution.
We're still racing here at Bristol, but my oh my, I thought that would have been a yellow. We'll watch this on the replay.
Yeah, he's on the apron of the racetrack, and he ended up avoiding the barrels there. Watch right here, he hits the cone. That's the pit exit cone, but he does not hit the barrels. So he has some rear damage, and he did not technically spin out fully on the racetrack. So that does not bring out a yellow flag.
Yeah, he's now down in the 33rd position. So there are a few cars behind him, but he's got a lot of rear end damage in that number 14 machine. So we'll have to keep an eye on that because, you know, damage here cannot be the end of your day. At some high-speed tracks, you get some damage, it's going to completely adversely affect your car. But just like Mark Whitley, who got a little bit of damage in that first yellow flag, Whitley's moved up into the 3rd position, and he's hanging right with the 29 of Will Worsler, and is just a little bit off the pace of Brian Yazik, but Yazik is checked out.
Yazik's checked out about 0.6 of a second. So far, not feeling a lot of pressure from Worsler, at least not just yet. This is Bristol, however, so it is the world's fastest half mile, and these cars are already taking up half the racetrack already. So, because it's already about 7 seconds behind, all the way to 23rd. Last place driver who's on the lead lap is 13 seconds behind. That's Robbie Baskins, who's in 35th and having some connection issues at the moment.
Yeah, and I'm keeping an eye on Jared Mogard. You know, we've mentioned his name already many times here. He's already up into the 6th position. He's on the outside there of, that would be Mitch Brown in that 51 machine, and he's just hanging tough on that outside, as is Mitch Brown. Mitch Brown holding tough on the inside line, which doesn't seem to be the preferred line, but maybe Sam Maxwell, who has Kelsey Rogers all over his back bumper. Maybe Sam is having some grip issues up there and holding up that outside line, although looks like Mogard has finally cleared Mitch, and he will set sail up into the 6th position.
Man, that's Mitch's opportunity right there to try to get behind the 00 and just ride that high line. He should. There goes the 00 on towards the inside. Mogard on the inside of the 35 of Kelsey Rogers. I don't know if he's going to successfully get this pass unless he tries to really do a slide job, but that's not safe here at Bristol because you've got the number 98, Sam Maxwell. He might be able to get this done right here. Might go for more. Maybe fill up that little hole between the 98 and the 35. Don't know if that's going to happen. I am seeing second place really heat up, though. You got the 37 who's caught the back bumper of Will Worsler. The 37 car is Mark Whitley. So far, those two guys are still, nose to tail. It's the biggest news right here is the 00 going after Sam Maxwell. That's Mogard, who's won the last two events. Almost contact between Mogard and the 98, or excuse me, the 35 right there, Kelsey Rogers.
Yeah, they got really close there on the front stretch. I think Kelsey might have had to give Jared a little bit of room in that number 00, but I was really impressed. I haven't seen many people make a pass on the inside line, but we got to see Jared Mogard make that pass as he sets his sights back on Sam Maxwell in that number 98 machine. But you said it, up there at the front, Mark Whitley all over the back of Will Worsler, and we see Mark running a little bit different line than the number 29, just ahead of these few. He's running a little bit lower as you see Jared Mogard now trying to go back underneath Sam Maxwell. He's keeping that bottom line. He's holding right to it, and he looks like he's going to make that move coming out of turn number 4. So move Jared Mogard up into the 4th position from 11th to 4th spot here, and we're only 27 laps in at Bristol, which sounds like a lot of laps, but these laps go by really fast.
Oh, almost contact between Mark Whitley and Will Worsler. There was contact to the left rear quarter panel. A very slight touch. That's all it took. And so far, Will's hanging on very good right there in second spot. But he's got a pack of hungry dogs, and a guy that has 2 wins already this season, Mogard, who's still operating the bottom line of the racetrack. And he's really hanging on, trying to pick up more positions. It's like he's got super grip down there. But man, the more that 37 machine stays behind Worsler, and he had to really check up. He's going to get the wall in just a little bit. This is going to allow the 00 of Mogard to try to gain some track position here. So far, that corner exit's just very tough to hold off.
Yeah, look at this.
They both hit the wall.
Man, this battle for the second position is really hot because Mitch Brown has caught the back here of these drivers, and we have a 5-car battle for the second position. And these dogs are really fighting because Brian Yazik up front, he's actually starting to disappear up there in that number 55 machine. So these drivers really trying to make that move as quick as they can to see if they can run down that number 55.
Contact again. Mark Whitley to Worsler right in the back bumper. He's just telling Worsler, come on, man. Man, I tell you what, that 37, man, look at him. Contact again. He's beating that front end nose off of that old 29 up there, trying to say, come on, man, let's go. This 00 is like beating us on the bottom here, and Will's trying.
Yeah, look, it's crazy. You now can see the little bit of damage on the back of that number 29 machine. So that's going to have to be a little bit of... Oh, man, look, Whitley just scraped the wall coming out of turn number 2. And Mogard getting loose on the inside line. Mogard having to check up. These drivers are fighting like crazy. And a little bit further back, Sam Maxwell is just kind of biding his time. He's down in the 6th position. And this little pack in front of him, I think he's going to say, hey, you guys race hard and everything. And we'll see what comes of it, because these drivers now in lapped traffic. And lap traffic can add another element to this battle. They've going around the 80 of Jack Wells.
This lap traffic's hurting Yazik, man. He had about a good almost a second half lead, and this is down to less than a second. This is down to 7/10 of a second right now, and he's still got heavy-duty lap traffic. I know Worsler's trying to do the same thing while trying to hold off Jared Mogard here, but Mogard now operating a higher line. Now he's got to check up just a little bit, trying to get around the number 97 machine, the Amazon Prime machine. That is the Andy Veltman.
Yeah, Andy Veltman, that's a really good-looking Toyota Camry. That Amazon Prime machine kind of reminds me of the number 97 that Kurt Busch used to run, just similar colors. The old Sharpie scheme. Is look at Jared Mogard diving back down to the inside now, and Will Worsler. This battle for second place is not over, as Brian Yazik has almost been caught by these two, as he's been stuck in that lap traffic. He's not been able to make that low line work like Will Worsler and Jared Mogard have been able to get around the traffic. So that has definitely hurt the 55 of Brian Yazik. And I'm sure he'll be getting news that right behind him now is the number 00 of Jared Mogart, as he's getting around the number 14 of
Oh,
Chris Forster.
man, that 51 machine thought about throwing it in there, man, but he had to check up. Otherwise, he was going to get tied on corner exit and get into Worsler. Right now, he's trying to make the pass and successfully does. Worsler is behind the number 14, who is already a lap down. That's the 14 of Chris Forster, like you said, Peter. And right now, oh, he's still struggling trying to get around the 14. What Worsler is, as he's backed up the 4th spot. Mogart has just been unbelievably fast, and he has practically caught the race leader, Brian Yazik. This lap traffic has hurt Yazik for sure.
Yeah, about 3 laps ago, Yazik got really loose coming out of turn number 4, had to check up, and that gave Jared Mogart a really good run down the front stretch in comparison. Basically took away all that ground, as here comes Mitch Brown. Mitch Brown sails it off into turn number 3, and he's going to get underneath Jared Mogart and try and use Tim Knott in the 41 as a possible pick here. So we'll have to see what comes of Mitch Brown, because he's kind of snuck up on Jared Mogart, and now Mitch Brown is up into the 2nd position. So definitely that number 51 using that lap traffic to his advantage, and now he can set his sights on Brian Yazik, but Yazik's got a little bit of clean track in front of him. The next car will be Jamie Moore, making his first start of the season in the number 82, as Brian Yazik is going to close in on that machine little bit by little. But Mitch Brown, man, he snuck up on these leaders and really made a good charge here.
Mitch Brown started in the 10th position. He was side by side. Brian Yazik just disappeared. This is not a good thing for Brian Yazik at the moment. I'm going to figure out what his problem is at the moment. I am not seeing. Oh, he was removed from the server.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but Brian Yazik has been removed from the race lead to being off the track. We'll have to find out what happened, as we have a yellow flag out. There is a car around on the front stretch in turn number 1. That's Lee Staples in the number 26.
26 machine, Lee Staples is around. Looks like a lot of net code on my point of view here, Peter.
Yeah, looks like those drivers look like they made contact on the screen, but that was enough to send Lee Staples around. It's kind of one of those things that you really want to be that close to the other driver, and it's like it might have just bit him here. Yeah, it looked like there was room on my screen. That's a tough break for Lee Staples. He will end up 1 lap down after spinning on the racetrack. Definitely a lot of damage to the front end of that number 26 as we ride on board with this replay. Looks like maybe a little bit of wheel spin got those 2 cars kind of pointed in an odd direction towards one another, and that might have been what provoked that contact. But all these drivers head down pit road, get some fresh tires, because these drivers were definitely getting a little squirrely out there. Looks like the 51 of Mitch Brown will come out.
I'm gonna tell you what, there's a lot of takers on pit road here right now. And I mean, this is about the time where you want to get 4 tires. There's some drivers who have to wait until they get to the back straightaway to get to their pit box.
Yep, definitely these drivers coming down getting 4 tires. Some of the lappers down there getting some of their damage fixed if they have some damage. And we're hearing some chatter about the 55 situation, and
yeah, there could have been an administrator mistake to where you accidentally remove a driver from the server. Once a driver is removed from the server, you cannot bring that driver back into the server. It doesn't work that way. You have to think of it as a disqualification, but it was actually an administrator or an admin mistake. So
yeah, that is absolutely
very unfortunate.
Tough. Yeah, absolutely tough luck for that number 55 machine, because he was out there on a roll, and man, that battle for the race lead was really interesting.
Yep.
You had Mitch Brown right behind him.
All right, this is a very interesting move since everybody's kind of getting ready and everybody's practically done with their pit stop. Ty Hester has stayed out. on 50 lap old tires compared to everybody else. So if he does remain that he's going to stay out, he's going to get swallowed up, and it's going to be a very uncomfortable feeling. He might spin the tires. I'd say try to get to pit road as soon as possible.
Yeah, I definitely think that with those tires being so old, he will have some wheel spin issue. We saw Sam Maxwell under that short 10-lap shootout that we had last week at Kentucky Speedway spin his tires on old tires, and my goodness, he shot way back in the pack. Wasn't able to come home with any sort of good place finish. In fact, I think he retired from the race after that. So that's definitely something that Ty Hester has to have on his mind here, because he does stay out. Lights are off on the pace car, and we'll get set to go back to green.
All right, pace car is about to head down pit road. Ty Hester, you're on old tires, buddy, but hang on to it. It's going to be a very uncomfortable feeling, and we just had a good green flag run. Here we go. We're green flag racing back at Bristol. He does a pretty good job. It was a slow start, but does a good job to hang on to it. And they're already swallowing him up as Jared Mogard, the winner of the first two events, is fighting for the race lead, and he should have no problem getting it. And he has no problem whatsoever. Give the lead to Mogard.
Yeah, Mogard cleared him, said, "Thank you very much for that lead, because I'll take it." And Mitch Brown now following suit, as look at this gaggle of cars now lining up.
Contact between 37 to 36.
Yeah, a little bit of contact there. Mark Whitley, everyone's going to keep it straight. Will Worcester tried to look underneath Mark, but not able to do so, as I think Ty Hester's really holding up that outside line. Everyone trying to swallow him up, everyone trying to get down to the bottom. I'm sure some drivers back in the pack will see that and try and use him as pit if they can, although here comes Kelsey Rogers around the outside of Ty Hester. Really close. Ty Hester, my goodness, I think Hester had to almost spin the tires.
They're going to split them. This ain't a good idea.
3 wide at Bristol. I have made it 4 wide at Bristol once, and I made it work, but that was only because one of the cars was spinning. As now Josh Walker's stuck behind Ty Hester in that number 58 machine. Good to see Josh Walker. He's had a good run so far in this race, but Alexander Pelican now dives underneath that number 36, and Pelican moving up towards the front. Corey Silva, we talked about him earlier. He's second place in points. He's trying to move up because he sees that Mogard is the race leader. Not only is he the race leader, he's the points leader, winner of the first 2 events. And Silva now up into the top 10, a little bit further back. But
Worsler going for second place right now. He had a great run off of turn 4. He's fighting with Mitch Brown at the moment.
Yeah, he's going to use that low line, hopefully to his advantage. He used the low line in turns number 1 and 2, but he's going to jump up to the higher line in 3 and 4. And look at this run that he gets off the corner. I think he checked up. Oh, man, he sailed it off into turn number 1 and 2. But Mitch Brown going to hold tough on that inside line. And, I wonder if the track is changing, because you see a lot of drivers back in the pack running that higher line. It tends to heat up that higher line. You get a higher track temperature up there, which reduces the grip, which in turn makes the inside line a little bit more effective against that outside line, because I'm seeing all the leaders running the inside line and the back of the pack's running the high line. And it's the leaders that are running really fast lap times at the moment.
Track temperature at the start of the race was 119 degrees. It is currently 116 degrees at the moment. So a couple degree drop, but I'd say it's still pretty slick out there from what I'm seeing. The 83 car is the one that I'm seeing that's running loose but fast, and a high line battle number 94 of Corey Silva. That would have been a battle for 8th place. That's Travis Rucker. But otherwise, everybody's holding their own at the moment. Ty Hester has fallen back into 20th place. Everybody was able to get around him safely. Meanwhile, up towards the front, Mitch Brown has kind of gained some ground on the race leader, Jared Mogard, 0.6 of a second back. So I figured, I think Mogard's going to dominate, just like what Brian Yazik did, except when he catches lap traffic. Lap traffic might interfere with the lap times here for sure, as he just caught one right now, and that is going to be the number 14 machine of Chris Forster.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult for Jared Mogard to get around these cars, but he's running that inside line so well.
Caution.
As we have a caution out in the racetrack. We got the 1 car, Jason Stewart, spinning around. Looks like he doesn't have much damage on that number 1 machine. Looks like maybe a single car accident here.
It's one of those deals.
We have a wreck in turn number 1 and 2 as well that seemed to happen at the exact same time. Looks like Devin Serra and the 72 of Michael Krobach have both half spun in that corner.
Jonathan Holstein, maybe? Or no, he just stopped on the track to avoid the accident. I see the number 30 machine as well that took some damage to that incident. That was Brad Cross.
Oh! Almost
Wow.
simultaneous accidents as Sarah went around and Krobach looked like
right
he had
there.
nowhere to go. Brad Cross in the number 30.
Oh,
He
Ty
got
Hester.
a piece of it.
See that again here.
Oh, yeah, a little bit of contact there with number 16 machine.
Oh, Krobach, nowhere to go realistically. Minor damage though. That ain't bad. Oh, that Brad Cross damage might help. Or man, Ty Hester, look at him trying to squeeze right through there.
Yeah, and when you get stopped on a track that is as banked as Bristol Motor Speedway, it can be pretty difficult to get back going, and that's what you just saw there when it seemed like they were just frozen there for quite a while. But there is the number 1, that's Jason Stewart, who went around. I think that was what brought out the initial yellow, and then everything else happening in turn number 1 and 2 happened at precisely the same moment. So action all over the track. Looks like a little bit of contact there from behind.
Seeing a lot of mixed bag right here of pit stops, Peter.
Yeah, some drivers coming down pit road, getting some tires, others not. I'll tell you who is definitely coming down pit road, got 4 fresh tires. Ty Hester, he fell well back in the pack after that little gamble earlier on. There he is in that number 36 machine. But looks like we had some drivers stay out. One of them was Alexander Pelican, but he's come down pit road now. Travis Rucker in the number 83 machine. He's just now coming off pit road. So I think pretty much everyone came down and took tires once it was all said and done, because we've now shuffled around. I believe Jared Mogard will be your race leader once again once we get back green flag.
Yeah, it's looking like it right now. I did see Jared Haggerty try to stay out to get a lap lead under his belt. Josh Walker's also stayed out. Jared Mogard, freshest guy on tires. He will be in third right now, unless Walker and Haggerty decide to hit pit road. Otherwise, yeah, practically the entire field has made a pit stop under this caution flag. So we'll have to keep an eye on the pace car to see if the lights are going to get turned off here. Actually, it'll be next time. Yes, here we go. So with that being said, you got Jared Haggerty and Josh Walker, who's going to stay out for track position, at least trying to hope for a caution to where they can pit with the field and gain that track position. Jared Mogard, 4 fresh tires in third. Mitch Brown in fourth. Fifth place, Mark Whitley. Sixth place, Corey Silva. Seventh place, Evan Black. Actually, Evan Black's in eighth. Brad Cross is in ninth. And 10th place, Ty Hester. Will Worsler's in seventh. Hey, Ty Hester, man, he was back in 20th. He's already up there in the top 10 with 4 fresh stickers. All right, here we go. Pace cars are going down pit road, and Jared Haggerty's your race leader in the number 6. And we're green flag racing at Bristol once again. And right now, spinning the tires. Oh, it's a ricochet. It's a big accident. Number 51, Mitch Brown's around.
Yeah.
Oh.
Looks like the number 58 just spun his tires just a little bit. Josh Walker spun those tires, and unfortunately Mitch Brown had nowhere to go in that number 51 machine, and he got collected from behind. Corey Silva just got his rear bumper, and they were along for the ride.
Oh man, do you have an onboard there of the number 28 machine of Troy Haight there, production truck?
Yeah, so let's watch this replay again.
Yep, go ahead.
There we go. We got Troy Haight. Let's watch this. Like you said, back in that number 28 machine. Big wreck right in front of him. Look at him. Oh!
Hey, that was close.
Yeah, drop that elevator to floor 1. So here we go on board with Ty Hester.
Yeah, I'm getting a report that 36 avoided another incident. But I think he got damaged because it's hit right.
Oh.
No, he didn't. He really rear-ended the number 92. He actually got the 92 through that wreck. So that was the 92 machine of, I gotta look at my list here. That was Evan Black.
Yeah,
I tell you what, he was beating around like a pinball machine there.
Bum drafting at a track like Bristol Motor Speedway is typically not a good idea. But there is the number 6, Jared Haggerty. He is your race leader, and it looks like Haggerty spun his tires as well under that little brief green flag run that we had. But Josh Walker, who was to his outside, really spun his tires, and that's what caused the accordion effect that rippled through the field and has shuffled the running order yet again. I'm sure if you are a little bit further back here, you got some damage, maybe think about pitting yet again, get some of that more damage repaired. But cautions breed cautions, especially at a track like this.
Yeah, most definitely. Jared Haggerty still staying out here, but I say if you're on older tires, you're going to pit this time by. I do see quite a few drivers with little to some damage to big damage. One of those was Evan Black.
Yeah, Evan Black, he was third in points and also collected second place in points, Corey Silva. So if I am the 00 of Jared Mogard, things are looking really good. You're sitting in the second position, your first car on fresh tires, and you are leading the points. So when you have a couple of your contenders taken out in an accident like that, that's going to feel good because you have that good track position. Track position, it was important there.
Just sit back and relax. Yeah, just sit back and relax and if you're the crew chief of the 00 machine and you're getting on the radio to him, to Jared right now, hey Jared, good job avoiding all the accidents. You kept the car clean today. Just so you know, you got a little over 100 laps to go yet.
Yeah, we're not even halfway in this one. So I'm watching Evan Black. He got involved in that accident, but he did not come down pit road. So maybe that crew doesn't think that number 92 machine is too badly damaged. Same thing with his teammate right in front of him, Corey Silva. He didn't come down pit road. So we'll have to keep an eye on those two machines. Is going to hurt those two cars, but they'll stay up near the front as pace car lights are off once again.
These car lights are off once again as we're going to go back green flag racing here. Jared Haggerty on older tires. Let's see how well he can hang up there. Maybe he can get another caution in this mix, maybe to where he can pit with the leaders. So far, the leaders are saying, man, we got our track position and we ain't giving it up. So Haggerty's going to be out front. Pace car's going to dip down low. Let's see what Jared Mogard can do. And we're back green flag racing at Bristol. Haggerty does beat Mogard to the line. And they're side by side, and I do believe Jared's going to get him right here on corner exit. He sure does.
I was watching a little bit further back, and Corey Silva was one of those that suffered from some wheel spin. So even some drivers on some relatively fresh tires struggling with some wheel spin. That will have to be something we'll keep an eye on as the race goes on. But there you go. You saw it. Jared Mogard already starting to check out, but Will Worcester almost got the rear end of Jared Haggerty there. And there's some really tight racing for that second position. Haggerty kind of holding tough, although Haggerty slid it into turn number 1 and 2, had to check up, and now here goes Evan Black around the outside. That number 92 machine all mangled up, but looks still pretty fast as he's able to clear him. Oh, Clarence Bonner! And Clarence Bonner hard on the inside wall with Jared Haggerty. That surely will bring out the yellow flag. The yellow flag has finally come out. Somebody give that flagman a shot of adrenaline or something, because he was pretty slow to react. But man, I don't really know what happened. I think both of those two drivers just ran out of room as you're watching on board with the number 11 machine.
Ooh, Clarence Bonner had an EOL about two cautions ago, and he was well right in the top 5. Had a great run. As soon as he smacked the wall, it ricocheted right into Haggerty and knocked them both off.
Yeah, that hard contact with the outside wall just sent him down into the 6, and just had nowhere to go.
Man, I don't know what's worse, the outside wall or the inside wall, man, because those two bolt drivers took a pretty good look into the inside wall.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this number 99. You'll see he gets the right side of the car here, and then got the left side with the damage from the 6, and so both sides of that machine are crumpled in. And for Jared Haggerty, he's definitely going to have a lot of damage to repair on that machine. But there you go, the 00 Jared Mogard once again out front, able to be ahead of all that mess, and it all happened right behind him with some of his contenders in this race.
Right. Man, yeah. I tell you what, that with Jared Haggerty, that whole plan practically backfired. But I tell you what, with all this, some accidents that's going on and a lot of unfortunate events that have taken place this evening, we're seeing some drivers outside the top 15, outside the top 20, have decided to make their presence known in the top 10 tonight. And so far, one of those guys is Corey Silva. Corey has been kind of up and down the leaderboard all night, but still hanging in there with some beaten fenders there, but remaining in 4th place. How about Alex Keese? We haven't talked about him too much this evening. That number 77 Trek machine is looking pretty stout at the moment with some damage here and there. Alan Young started 30th. And he's got a pretty clean number 24 machine there, and he's right there in 7th place. And Jim Foose in the 42 machine has some right front damage, but although after starting 25th, he's currently remaining in the 8th spot right now. So some drivers outside the top 20 have been making their presence known in the top 10. Pace car lights still remain on. Jared Mogard's your race leader. Evan Black's in 2nd. Mark Whitley in 3rd. Corey Silva in 4th. And right on the top 5, Will Worsler. Will Worsler has been in the top 5 since the start of the green flag, has not really dropped back. So he's hanging in there trying to make it a mistake-free night tonight.
Yeah, we mentioned that earlier, and Will Worsler has made some mental errors so far this season and hoping to keep that thing clean, but we're still not even halfway. We're still about 16 or so laps away from halfway, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But another thing to keep an eye on, last season in this Bristol race, all of the top 5 started in the top 6. Well, tonight, you mentioned it, we have Corey Silva started 23rd and 4th. We have Alex Gee started 27th and 6th. Alan Young, 30th. He started 30th. He's up to 7th. Jim Foose started 25th. He's at 8th. And Troy Haight started 18th, and he's in 9th. So a lot of movers up through this field. And Alan Young currently is the biggest mover of all those drivers. So props to him. He's kept that number 24 Federated Auto Parts machine there on the bottom left of the screen. He has kept that thing nice and clean so far tonight. But we'll have to keep an eye on if he can keep it clean for the rest of the night, as the pace car is about to dive off. Here, take it away.
Jared Mogard looking for 3 wins in a row in the series here in the Cup Series of ASRS, and he's on the throttle, and he's just trying to clear Evan Black at the moment. So far he does, trying to work with that clean air. Meanwhile, the number 37 machine, Mark Whitley, he's been in the top 5 practically all night. He's in 3rd place. Corey Silva's now taking 4th, and Will Warson 5th. Caution is out again.
Yeah,
got
big
an
wreck.
In turn 3.
Big wreck in turn number 4. Sam Maxwell is one of those involved. The number 1 is involved. That's Jason Stewart, but Sam Maxwell, he's got a lot of damage in that number 98 machine. I think he's going to take that thing to the garage. Ooh, contact again there. Yeah, the 09 Kevin Sargent involved, and Tyler Saville got involved in that number 11. Looks like we'll have to watch that one on replay.
Yeah, watch this one again. He's going to try to squeeze his car into this hole right there, but there's not enough room, and he clipped the right rear quarter panel and turned the 09 machine around. That was the 09 machine of Kevin Sargent.
Yeah, I just don't think there was enough room to quite make that work, and I'm sure Sam Maxwell, he got the most damage out of that one, but I'm sure he's kicking himself with that. Watching out the back, just hard lick with that outside wall with that 09. Oh, Clarence Bonner there. Had to think about where to go there for a minute. But cautions breed cautions. Here we go again, as this caution won't quite take us to halfway, but it looks like the number 14 of Chris Forster will be the lucky dog here. So he'll get back on the lead lap. We currently do have 27 cars now on the lead lap. So we had 36 start, and 27 of those are on the lead lap. We do have some retirements. We've had currently 5 retirements in this race, and Sam Maxwell, unfortunately, might be the 6th one of those, as he sits there on pit road.
Yeah, he looks like he's gonna be done. He's gonna go back out there, but he's gonna look like an SK modified.
Yeah, and you know what? We saw this at Atlanta Motor Speedway in the first race of the season, when Sam Maxwell had a modified at Atlanta Motor Speedway running inside the top 5 in the final 10 laps of the race. We had no idea how that 98 was so fast with no front end at a track that has, big downforce implications like Atlanta Motor Speedway. So we'll have to see if Sam Maxwell can get that thing back on the lead lap. He's currently 2 laps down now in that 98 machine. So he's got a pretty tall order to get back into the top 5, but we'll have to see if he can do it.
Peter, didn't I see you, or was that Cameron Rich one time at Rockingham driving an SK modified cup car? I mean, and you guys were still fast. I don't know what it is, but it looks like y'all beat up the shreds and you're still fast out there. It's crazy. But here I think, yeah, Paul Ross at one time was here on 3xT. We did a broadcast last year at Rockingham where everybody looked like an SK modified and they were still running fast. But here at Bristol, you could probably still get away with that, but I don't think at a track like Rockingham you're not going to. But we're going to go green this time by. Let's reset the field for you. Jared Mogart in first. Evan Black is in second. Mark Whitley in third. Corey Silva fourth. After starting 23rd, Will Worsler's in 5th, Alan Young after starting 30th and 6th, Troy Haight in 7th, Josh Walker in 8th, Alex Geese 9th, rounding out the top 10, Jim Foose. Well, let's see what Jared can do this time. Hopefully it's just as good a restart as last time. I don't know how much of a big jump you can really get on the field. As long as you're working with that clean air and you're the race leader and you don't catch lap traffic, you're good to go. As green flag is back out once again this evening, very good jump on Mogart's part. And you can't switch lanes before the start-finish line. That's what I'm being told as Mogart doing an excellent job keeping that 00 clean all race long, keeping it out front. Some side-by-side racing's actually mid-pack in the top 10. How about number 28 of Troy Hay, who just got by. Actually, he's got a rear mirror full of Jim Foose. Jim Foose trying to get himself up there in the top 5, the best he can. There's a battle up towards, is that the number 58 of Josh Walker for the lead as well. Evan Black led that last time by. Mogart on a bottom loses the race lead for the first time today under green flag conditions, and he's still riding that bottom line. Don't know if that bottom line is going to work right now because here comes Corey Silva off the corner of the racetrack trying to fight for second place. Don't know. That bottom line worked earlier, but it's not working right now. So Mogart just lost 2 positions, and there's a lap car right there. He's getting out of the way as Evan Black currently leads here at Bristol.
Yeah, great move by those 2 teammates to notice that the high line was the place to be. They pounced on Jared Mogart, and now the number 92, Evan Black, to the point. What a great race for him. He started in the 4th position, now running up at the front. So, we have another caution.
Another caution.
That's Michael Krobach's gone around on the front stretch in that, oh my gosh, the whole field stopped. Ty Hester in 36, Krobach backs up in front of Chris Forster. Oh my gosh, and here comes the leaders. We'll have to see how this all shakes out. Ooh,
I don't think that was Michael Krobach that started that incident. I think it was there was contact between the 73 of Holstein and Jamie Moore in the 82. Actually, no, there was contact between Jamie Moore and Alex Geese that ricocheted into Jonathan Holstein because everybody was riding the higher line. Everybody just stacked up and ricocheted.
Yeah, it looks like Jamie Moore got into the back of Alex Geese on entry, which got Geese loose. Geese came up the track, and the 82 had to check up, and then there was an accordion effect right behind him. Oh, man, Ty Hester had nowhere to go. Mitch Moore also getting involved in that one.
Man, that Hut Brothers pizza is broken cardboard pizza with pizza inside of it.
I mean, Mitch Brown, excuse me. But yeah, those, man, some of those cars now looking like modifieds out there. There's a good lot of them now looking like that after that one, because that took out quite a few cars. Alex Geese in that number 77, he got away with only a little bit of rear end damage. So cautions, breeding cautions yet again as this whole field will shake out. It looked like they were all stopped like a parking lot there on the front stretch. I'm sure everyone with those front stretch seats were all excited to see all the cars for a brief moment. As cars are on pit road, there's Clarence Bonner in that number 99. Getting service done.
Trying to get the timing and scoring reset here because there's 2 pit lanes here at the moment. Trying to get everybody caught up to the pace car. And it looks like Mitch Brown is going to be your current race leader. Everybody is actually Mitch Brown. I'm showing he didn't even make a pit stop.
No, he stayed out on 32 lap old tires. Jared Mogart is now coming off pit road. We'll have to see how that number 00 shakes out with the 92 of Evan Black, which Evan came out off of pit road pretty quickly, so that's going to be interesting to see what that number 92 did. It looks like Jared Mogart will be right behind him with Mark Whitley behind him.
Definitely a 4-tire stop.
Well, what happened to Corey Silva? Corey Silva is still in his pit box in that number 94 machine. Not, yeah, he's moving in the 94.
Yeah,
But
he's
that
on
was
track.
a very. Oh yes, there he is. Sorry, you are right. He is on track. A little bit of commentator having a little bit of an issue on my part, but it was still a long stop. He's down in the 12th position, which is very surprising. He was, of course, second spot going into pit road, but now he's mired back in the pack. So we'll have to keep an eye on him going through the field.
What I think he did is I think he's remained in his pit box to get some damage repaired, because he does have some pretty good damage on that thing, as much damage as possible, but he's still in 12th place. So it's not all that bad, but still you got cars surrounding you, and it's one of those deals where anything can happen. Pace car lights are off. Mitch Brown has said he's going to stay out there on the racetrack. Don't know how this is going to work out. No bumper. That thing's looking like an SK modified. So we have the SK modified of Mitch Brown is out there with no spoiler either. Let's see what Evan Black can do. Mitch Brown, pace car's in. He's on the loud pedal. He's on 35 lap old tires. We're back green flag racing. And here comes the field to rack it up.
Yeah, Evan Black, he got a pretty good start in that number 92 as he goes down to the high side around Mitch Brown. And Mitch Brown drifting up just a little bit there is Evan Black. He's just going to take that high side now. He's going to clear the number 51. Look at the number 37. That's Mark Whitley. He's going to charge up into the second position. Jared Mogard kind of got stuck behind Mitch Brown in that 51, and we're seeing that 51 now start to fall through the field. Will Warshler will be just off your screen. He's now in the 5th position, but I think Mitch Brown has some engine damage or something, because he's really lacking down the straightaways, it looks like, and Will Warshler will be on him pretty soon. But here comes Alan Young, started in the 30th position. He just moved up into the 5th
Jim
position.
Foose made contact with Will Warshler there, had to back out of it, but it still worked out in Foose's favor because he's on that higher line. It was almost a 3-wide scenario. Man, those guys just got lucky.
Yeah, Will Warshler lost a lot of ground on Alan Young.
On Warshler.
Yeah, moved Jim Foose up into the 6th position at the line. We'll have to see if he can hold on to this. Indeed, he does. He drove that thing way down into turn number 1, and now Jim Foose up into 6th. That's an awesome run for Jim Foose. He was talking to me last week about how he has to have a great run here tonight because he wants to be locked into these events. And if he's not in the top 20 in points after tonight, he won't be locked in. And he was 20th spot in points coming into tonight. So we'll have to keep an eye on that number 42. Meanwhile, up at the front, look at Mark Whitley. Look, you're looking out the back of Evan Black in that number 92 machine. And Mark Whitley is there. And Jared Mogard is saying, hey guys, I'm going to jump down here to the bottom and see if I can take away the 2nd position. But he got loose coming out of the corner, had to back out.
That bottom line worked for Mogard early in the race, but so far it has yet to work for him right now. There is a bunch of activity with Will Warshler, man. He's dropping like a pigeon at the moment because he got overtaken by Foose earlier. He's been overtaken by quite a few guys, such as Krobach right now, possibility. I don't know what's going on in that 29 machine, but this is the furthest back he's been all race long on the green flag conditions. Yeah,
he's dropped back to the 11th position. Here comes Michael Krobach. We saw the 72 involved in that last accident, and it looks like Will Warshler's just going to kind of lay over on entry there, see if he can come back at Krobach getting loose coming out of turn number 4. But yeah, Will Warshler dropping like a stone here. We've seen him not be able to put a whole race together in that number 29 machine. And here we are just past halfway, and that 29 car is starting to drop back. Jonathan Holstein got really close to Will Warshler. And that number 73 machine really trying to move up another spot. You're not missing too much up at the front. But Alan Young in the 5th position. He's looking to the outside of Mitch Brown, and I think Alan Young will take that spot. So from 30th position to 4th in that number 24, and let me tell you, Alan Young, it doesn't look like he has a scratch on that car. He's kept it clean, and I think that's part of the reason why he's up into the 4th position.
Speaks volumes. He's got a little bit of clean air to work with because he's about 2.5 seconds back from the top 3 drivers, and that's a lot of clean air he can technically work with right there because he's not battling with anybody. He's not being pressured. The next guy behind him is the 51 of Mitch Brown, who's on older stickers, which, in my opinion, I don't know how he's hanging on in the top 5 because he's already seen drivers on older tires fall back, and he's looking like an SK modified machine without a spoiler. Maybe that's the reason why he's doing so well on older tires, is because there's no spoiler there. There's not even a bumper.
He's got no rear downforce for to slow him down on the straightaways, so well, definitely maybe aerodynamics aren't that important on a track like this, and he's making use of it. Ooh, a little bit of smoke there. Looks like someone might have blown an engine. Oh, it's Sam Maxwell. He's dived down pit road in that number 98 machine. So after a rough finish last week at Kentucky Motor Speedway, Sam Maxwell on pit road, and it looks like he will be I haven't looked at our list of retirements, but our list of retirements has grown significantly in the last 10 to 15 laps.
Oh man, Jim Foose is being able to overtake here by guys on the outside line. Foose is on the bottom side. He just lost a spot to Travis Rucker. That's a battle for 6th. Now it's going to be a battle for 7th place. That's Corey Silva. Foose is still on the bottom. He just practically lost 7th place. Now it's going to be the 58 machine. If Foose can get into that higher line, nope, not anymore. Here comes the 58 of Josh Walker on the higher side of the racetrack. And right behind these cats is going to be the number 28 car of Troy Haight.
Yeah, and I'm keeping an eye on Corey Silva. We saw him make a long pit stop to potentially repair some damage on that 94 machine, got him a little bit further back in the pack, and he's slowly working his way up. He's now up into the 7th position, and right in his sights is Travis Rucker in the number 83, and I think Corey Silva's a little bit faster than him, can't yet find a way around, but I'm also looking up front because these leaders are starting to get into some traffic. And you can see Evan Black, he's now trying to go to the outside of Jack Wells. I think that number 80 Chevrolet, he's a modified. I think that thing is well down on power because it seems like he's getting lapped quite often. Yeah, every couple of laps it seems like they appear with that number 80 in view. Because look at Jared Mogard, he's still trying to make that inside line work. I've been watching him try to get some grip down there. You'll have to see if he can use Tim Knott as a pick. Tim Knott in that 41.
Black had to check up. He had a great run going, but he had to check up due to the lap car. Now he's on the bottom side of the racetrack. This is going to help out the 37 of Whitley and Mogard here. Let's see what they can do with the race leader here. Here comes Mogard really trying to get it in there, but he might have to back out of this one just a little bit because here comes the 37 trying to get underneath that 41 machine, who is a lap down.
Yeah, Tim Knott trying to get, oh, wow, look at Mark Whitley get really loose. He laid down some rubber coming out of turn number 4 in that number 37. And Jared Mogard saw that, and he's going to try and pounce. Here he goes to the inside line. And I think Mogard, like you said, I think he had to back out of it. And he had to back out of it there not to hit the 37. So that inside line doesn't appear to have the grip it had earlier. So I think we're seeing some more cars migrate to that inside line. It's probably heating up that inside line a little bit and just not able to have as much grip down there because of the hotter temperatures in the track. Looks like we have a battle for the 7th position. Corey Silva trying to get around Travis Rucker. They were side by side that last lap. Corey Silva trying to run the inside line. There they are, that 94 of Corey Silva.
That'll be a battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th because they're gaining on Josh Walker. Walker's in the 58 in 6th. Rucker is in 7th, and Corey Silva in the 94 is in 8th. And look at Silva looking towards the inside right now on Rucker. Side by side, turns 3 and 4. Just ahead of him is Walker. Everybody else behind these cats is practically single file running the higher line side of the racetrack. And I do believe nothing really activity going on for 2nd place just yet.
Oh, just as you say that.
Yes,
just as you say that. Mark Whitley got really loose coming out of turn number 4. He was completely sideways in that number 37 machine. Great save. Well, yeah, here's the replay. And what a save. He had that. That was a seesaw. It was seesawing back and forth. Look at this. Oh. That was quite a save, but Jared Mogard pounced on it and moved the 00 up into that 2nd position, but I'm sure the 00 needs a fresh pair of underwear.
Yeah, you want to know what the 00 did to the 37 that getting them so loose like that? He hit the Yeah, he hit you press L2 and he hit the intimidator button, like the EA NASCAR days. That's what he did to Mark Whitley, and quite frankly, those two are going to be rivals by the time this race is done.
Yeah, you better not get that thing bright red, because if you get it bright red, you never know what's going to happen. But up at the front, Evan Black now, he's got about a 8/10 of a second lead over Jared Mogard, and he scraped the wall a little bit in turn number 1 and 2 that last time by in that number 92 machine, so hopefully that right side of that car is still okay. He's getting really close to that outside wall, as is Jared Mogard. I think Mogard's realized that the high line is the place to be right now, because once he's gotten clear of Whitley, he's gone back up there as your leaders are navigating through traffic.
Got a battle for you. 4th place, Alan Young, who's kept this car clean all race long, is being challenged by Mitch Brown.
And Mitch Brown has not kept his car clean all night, as that number 51 modified is challenging for that position. And I wonder if the tires have gone through a cycle. Maybe they've evened off, because Mitch Brown does have quite a few more laps on his tires than Alan Young. You see Alan Young jumping right up to the top as Jack Wells gets a little bit in the way, but he moves over down the front straightaway. Excuse me, the back straightaway. I told you, you can get your front and back straights mixed up here, as looks like Mitch Brown still trying to run that low line. They got Josh Walker a little bit further behind them, but really, I'm looking at the times. Your front three drivers have really checked away from Alan Young. Alan Young about 6.5 seconds off your race lead. Mitch Brown right behind him. Josh Walker, he is in 6th. He's 7.5 seconds off the race lead. And behind him is now Corey Silva. So Corey Silva has gotten around Travis Rucker, but it's really hard to pass. Here you see, Michael Krobach going all the way up high. He's going to get around Jim Foose here. So Krobach moved him up into the 10th position.
Man, Krobach's been in a couple. Oh no! What happened?
I think that's the 82.
Oh my God.
What a save! Jamie Moore had that thing seesawing in the middle of the corner and just drifting through the corner right in front of the leaders. Oh my gosh, Jamie Moore, a little bit of contact there with the number 02 of Danny Rogers, and whew, I'm sure now everyone is going to need a fresh pair of underwear up at the front.
Well, that's not the old intimidator button. That's just like getting into the quarter panels right there. And by the way, production truck, my intimidator button was square.
Yeah, giving a little bit of bamper. Hey, that does increase your rival rating in EA Sports World.
It does. It really does. But we do got a battle for the lead brewing up, and on top of that, we have lap traffic. And this is not necessarily good for the leaders, because here we go. Mogard on the inside. No, he's got to tuck it right back in, because they get past the number 80 of Wells down there. Now they get past him. Maybe we can try it down in turn number 1. Maybe Mogard can use lap traffic as a pick, or can Evan Black use lap traffic as a pick? Side by side for the race lead off of turn number 2. Still side by side, door to door, as they head down into turn number 3. And not sure if Black, can he get the run? Yes, he can get the run. He might have to drive to the inside. It's just not going to happen this time by. Mogard still trying to keep the number 92 of Black on the higher side of the track, trying to keep him up there. Oh, almost contact. Maybe there was contact with a lap car, but nonetheless, Black still has the race lead, but there's still more lap traffic to deal with, and this is every race leader's nightmare as Black scrapes the outside wall.
Yeah, and I think there must have been contact between those two, because we saw the number 02, Danny Rogers. I think he might have just reached his 13 incident limit, because all of a sudden he disappeared on track. He's still in the server, but there must have been some contact between those two, as here comes Mogard. Mogard trying to use the lap cars as a pick. He's all over the back bumper of Evan Black, and we'll have to see what Evan Black does here. We saw a little bit of miscommunication there. As Michael Krobach's around.
Caution.
Yep, caution is out, as Krobach was around on the front stretch. Not sure why, but that number 72 machine, he does have more damage on the rear end. We'll have to see what happened here. You can see him down there on the inside line. I can only imagine something happened off turn 4.
72.
Number 72, yeah.
He just got loose.
Yeah, he just got loose, and that number 72 just spun around off the turn number 4 clipped that inside wall, got some damage, and it wasn't until he got back on the racetrack that the yellow flag was thrown.
Man, I tell you what, Peter, the loud pedal. The leaders are in pit road, but the Loud Pedal Motorsports group of Ryan Yazik and Michael Krobach are just not having a good night tonight here in Bristol.
Oh, Evan Black overshot his pit
Oh,
stall. That is going to be killer for him because Mogard hit his pit stall nice and neatly, and that number 00 already moving on the pit lane. Alex Geese, I think the 77 threw the dice. 77 is going to beat him off pit road.
77 here in just a stall.
Yeah, that's going to hurt Alex Geese. Although
So,
he is currently out first, but doesn't look like Evan Black lost too much track position because he's right behind Jared Mogard.
They had about a second and a half lead when they were going through lap traffic, and usually when a caution comes out, it freezes the field, so the lap traffic can be behind the race leaders. But nonetheless, this kind of cost Black the race lead. He wants to have the race lead because you want to work that clean air as much as possible, despite how fast Mogard is. But with Black overshooting that pit box ever so slightly, there's your results.
Yeah, we did see Evan Black get around Jared Mogard on a restart earlier today, so I'm sure that he will have that in mind. Alex Geese, I think he might have gotten a black flag for speeding as well as missing his pit box, so that number 77, though, will come back in and hit his marks this time, and that crew will go to work as we watch Jared Mogard, your race leader. Right behind him is Evan Black. Mark Whitley will be behind him, and I gotta say, Mitch Brown in that 51, that staying out under that last pit stop sequence that we saw, it has worked out for him. And right behind him is the 58 of Josh Walker. And Josh has not had some great finishes so far this year. So it's good to see that number 58 machine up near the front. He needed it. He was sitting in 37th in points going into tonight's race. So we'll have to see when those pace car lights go off.
I'd like to give a shout out to somebody who's not here this evening, but he is recovering from hip replacement surgery, and that is Steve Buhala. Get well, man, and I hope to see you back on the iRacing simulator, and of course in this series sometime in the near future, man. So get well soon, buddy.
Yeah, hopefully he's watching here on 3 Wide TV or iRacing Live. We welcome you guys. Join in with the chat as pace car lights are off.
Let's reset the field here, Peter. Jared Mogard is going to be your race leader. Evan Black, costly pit road mistake. Let's see what happens. See if he can rebound and fight for that lead. He's in second. Mark Whitley third. Mitch Brown fourth. Josh Walker fifth. Travis Rucker in sixth. Seventh, Troy Haight. Jonathan Holstein in eighth. Will Worsler ninth. And Chris Forrester rounding out the top 10. Corey Silva is in 11th, and Alan Young 12th outside looking in. Pace cars dropping down pit road. Mogard already on the loud pedal trying to escape Black as we're back in flag racing.
Yeah, Evan Black got caught a little sleepy there on that restart. He's going to slot in for a second, and really everyone kind of got single file there pretty quickly, except for Josh Walker. He's looking underneath the 51 of Mitch Brown. Josh Walker trying to move up into the 4th position. That's a side-by-side battle for that position, but Mitch Brown holding tough in that number 51 modified, and he's going to hold on to the 4th position for now. But we'll have to see if that number 92 can close back in on Jared Mogard. Mogard seems like he's going to stick with the high line here. We saw him earlier running that lower line earlier in the run, and that's how Evan Black got by on the higher line. But Mogard definitely out front, using that clean air to his advantage. He's got about 3/10 on that 92 for now.
Man, what's going on with Ty Hester, man? He was outside the top 10, man. He's really slow. Drivers are really trying to get around him. It's been a bottleneck back here. Could be his damage probably on lower power, but nonetheless, it was almost a ricochet wreck back here. Nonetheless, Mogard's still out front, and we've already talked about Mr. Alan Young, who doesn't really have a lot of damage on his car. How about Mogard? Look at Mogard's car. Perfectly, practically almost clean, maybe a dent here and there, but that thing looks clean, and it's fast. It is bad fast. So keep an eye on everybody else here. There is a battle between the 51 machine of Mitch Brown and Josh Walker in the 58. Practically all these guys are just kind of riding single file, seeing if anything's going to happen or produce here. There's Wells in the 80 car, who is multiple laps down, just trying to 4th place. Here we go, side by side down in turn number 3. No spoiler versus spoiler. Mitch Brown's got the no spoiler and no bumper.
And I was just about to mention Corey Silva's hoping that these two in front of him start duking it out, because Corey Silva's going to choose whichever one is the faster of the two cars, because he's breathing down the necks of both of them. In fact, Corey Silva now going to go to the outside. Oh! Josh Walker all up out of shape coming out of turn number 4. He saved that thing. He jumps back on the racetrack. He's going to lose some track position. He's going to drop back into the 8th position. But Josh Walker, what a save, able to keep that thing going straight in that number 58 machine. But that's going to move Corey Silva up into 5th, Travis Rucker up into 6th. What a save.
Man, on that replay, man, you got excited, Peter. Just think how excited he got.
Yeah, I think a couple of these drivers, like I said, they're going to have fresh underwear, hopefully pretty close to their computers after this one, because they're going to need it. But Jared Mogard up at the front, he is checked out to about a 2nd lead over Evan Black, and Evan Black now has Mark Whitley right behind him. That's a pretty close battle for the 2nd position. Maybe they're just waiting for Jared Mogard to go out there, use up his stuff, get caught up in lap traffic. We've seen the leader come out to a pretty big lead a couple times tonight, get caught up in lap traffic, and that lead just drops away as Corey Silva has moved up into the 4th position. We talked about him a little bit earlier, taking a little bit longer time on pit road to get some damage repaired, and that number 94 machine able to move forward up now into the 4th position, because he was the 2nd place driver at the time he decided to make that damage repair.
Yeah, Corey Silva had a huge run to get by Mitch Brown earlier, so he's practically pulled away from that 51 machine. And
oh man, look at Ty Hester holding up Jared Mogard considerably. That number 36 machine well off the pace, and Jared Mogard got caught up almost in an accident here. Oh, look at Mark Rucker.
That ain't good.
Mark Whitley, excuse me. Mark Whitley, all up out of shape.
Tell you what, I don't know what's going on with Hester. He was fast early, even despite the damage, but he must have taken some damage that really bogged the motor down, because he hasn't been good whatsoever since the restart. And now he's got cars going right by him right now. Just ahead of him is the one car that is Jason Stewart.
Yeah, Jason Stewart is currently 3 laps down in that number 1 machine. Still taking time out there, however, and even though he is 3 laps down, he is running 22nd on the track, which is higher than where he qualified. So definitely, with only 15 cars on the lead lap.
Whitley hit the wall. Silva and Whitley both hit the wall.
You know, the interesting thing about Bristol Motor Speedway, though, is if you hit that wall just right, Tanner, you can actually get a little bit better lap time out of it. You just have to hit it correctly.
I think the drivers are giving Jim Foose giving him some smart remarks for doing that in practice, and other drivers too, just for joking around. But yeah, you are right. You can wall ride around here and get a good lap time out of it. But you don't want to do that in qualifying, because iRacing will disregard your qualification time.
Yeah, in fact, Jared Mogard that time, he clipped the wall up in turn number 3 and 4. And he has about a 1.2 second lead over Evan Black. As you know, here we are at Bristol. We only have 24 laps to go. Laps wind down really quick because these drivers are running 16-second lap times. And I'm looking out front of Jared Mogard's number 00 machine, and I think he might just catch the back end of the lap cars in front of him. But laps are winding down really fast. We're going to have to see if Evan Black can close in on that number 0, because Mogard is going for 3 consecutive wins to start the season. I mean, what a start to the year that would be.
Man, I can't remember. It had to have been back in the at least the 60s or 70s, the last time an actual NASCAR driver won the first couple races in a row to start off the season. I don't know who did it. I would have to do my homework on that. But I don't know. I'm not sure who last did it, but that's something to really do your homework. Hey, people in the chat, if you want something to look up or a trivia question, look that up. Who was the last NASCAR driver to win the first 3 races in a row? That's a good question.
Yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on the chat because someone's surely going to answer it for us. Hopefully, you can look it up. And you remember the old NBC saying, you don't have to look it up because we just did? Well, hopefully the people in the chat can do that for us here on 3 Wide TV. Nothing much is happening up near the front, although Corey Silva has caught the number 37 of Mark Whitley. That number 94 machine is actually really fast. He last time by ran a 16.211, which is about a tenth and a half faster than Jared Mogard, and even Evan Black, in second was about a tenth faster than Mogard. So potentially we're starting to see that lead shrink maybe just a little bit, although we only have 17 laps to go and the lead is still a second.
That for fifth's been pretty good right here. I've been watching Mitch Brown, or the 58 right here of Josh Walker and Travis Rucker going at it. Actually a battle for 6th, not 5th. But these two cats have been going at it despite going around lap traffic as well. It's the only battle I'm realistically seeing at the moment. There might be a battle between Troy Hayden and Jonathan Holstein. That might be brewing up along with Alan Young. Will Worsler is trying to get himself back up there in the top 10. If he does finish 11th here tonight, it would be the best finish so far this season for Will, despite starting an average finish of a 1.5 this season.
Yeah, Troy Haight actually just got around Jonathan Holstein, so that moves him up into 8th position. So Hayter Racing running in the 8th and 11th position currently in the 28 and the number 29. As look at Josh Walker once again running to the inside of Travis Rucker, but that 58 seems like he just can't get the throttle down coming out of turn number 4. We've seen him get really loose there tonight already, and he's just not able to make that pass on Travis Rucker.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Peter. I really am, but with 12 laps remaining here at Bristol, we might have a battle for the race lead brewing up because Evan Black has been gaining on Mogard. Now, can Black end Mogard's winning streak here in the Cup Series? He won the first 2 races. He's going for 3 in a row. Black is trying to get up there, and he's been hunting them down.
And we have a caution here. It looks like it. I'm not sure where it is. Oh, it's in.
Josh
on the front stretch, yep. Josh Walker, we've said it just a few minutes ago. Josh Walker seems to have been struggling in turn number 4, and that's where the calamity happened. Went around, and this changes everything.
What do you do now, Peter?
Well, cautions breed cautions. If I'm back in the pack, man, it looks like the 83 might have checked up, or maybe you thought he was going to get the wall. 58 might have drifted up. Either way, 2 cars just ended up in the same place at the same time.
Man, I don't know. If you're in the back of the pack, get some guys together, get on the race and say, let's stay out. Let's try to fight for this track position and send at the leader's pit. That's what I would do, is just try to work together a little bit, despite if it's not your teammate or not. I mean, so I don't know.
If I was in about the 5th position, I think I would come down, take 2 tires. I don't think you can give up too much track position here. And there is Will Worsler, so he's the first one on pit road. First 11 stay out. Oh, no, there is the 24 of Alan Young. He was the 8th position, so top 7 staying out. Track position is important here at Bristol. We've mentioned it before. I was thinking about 5th place on back would come down and take, if I was them, I'd only take 2 tires there. I wouldn't even consider taking 4 tires at this point in the race. But Darren Mogard, Evan Black, Corey Silva, Mark Whitley, Mitch Brown, Troy Haight, Jonathan Holstein all staying out on the racetrack. Kind of making their bed. But there isn't much any laps to go.
Late in the race, track conditions have significantly changed. The track, part of the track is covered in shade. Actually, it's starting to becoming more in shade from turn 1 and 2 all the way to turns 3. It's nice and cool. Maybe we can get somebody in here. Yeah, let's talk to Evan Black. See if we can pull him up. Somebody can pull him up. Evan Black, this is 3 Wide TV. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Evan, we're coming down to it. Mogard's won the first 2 races, and you're going to be battling him for the race win unless somebody behind comes for 4 fresh tires. what do you got to do to try to fight for that race lead, man? Because it looked like you were gaining on him before that caution came out.
Yeah, that last run there, I was saving my tires, and I think I got better tires than him. It's just going to be a matter of who gets the better restart here. If I can get a good enough restart and stay on his quarter panel entering turn 1, I got this win. If he clears me, it's going to be a lot harder to do so because he's been really good running that bottom lane, and it's going to...
Yeah, most definitely there. Let's see what you can do here, Evan. I don't know if you have the 2 to go. If you have the 2 to go signal, we might have to let you go since this is Bristol. Do you have the 2 to go right now?
Yeah, we're coming to 1 to green right here.
All right, we're going to let you go. Best of luck to you.
All right, thanks.
That was Evan Black, man. He's going to see what he can do here with Jared Mogard. He did say Mogard was good on the bottom lane. We did see that happen at the beginning of the race. Not so much from the middle to end here, but let's go through the field here one last time. Mogard's leading, Black second, Corey Silva third, Mark Whitley fourth, Mitch Brown fifth, Troy Hayden sixth, seventh place, Jonathan Holstein, Alex Keiths in eighth, Will Worsler ninth, running out the top 10, Chris Forrester. I do believe the car on 4 fresh tires or some sort of tires is actually 4 tires in ninth, Chris Forrester. Let's see what Mogard can do. Catching Black just a little bit sleeping. He's going to have to deal with Corey Silva. We're back green flag racing at Bristol. 7 to go.
Evan Black sails it down into turn number 1. He really sailed it in, but look at Mogard. Mogard's going to close the door on Evan Black going down the back stretch. And look at the 94, Corey Silva. He's going to be the first one down there on the inside line. But if I am Jared Mogard, mission accomplished. Get over it. Oh, he hits the wall, and Evan Black clipping the wall as well. Those 2 drivers up at the front trying to get everything out of those tires here as they get the 3 laps to go. And man, Mogard got a great last lap. He's up to about a 3/10 of a second lead. The battle now is right behind them. Corey Silva looking underneath his teammate Evan Black. They're going to be side by side for the second position, and right behind them is Mark Whitley.
Worsler.
Whitley having a great run, and Will Worsler diving to the inside of Mitch Brown. Contact!
Contact!
Mitch Brown got the door check, and Will Worsler now, look at this 3 wide through truck number 3 and 4. They're going to make it work. They're going to make it work. Will Worsler coming out of nowhere. White flag here, Bristol Speedway. He's going to take second position.
He's coming, baby. He's coming. He's going to the inside. He's diving the down there side by side. He will take the race lead on the last lap of the final corner. Will Worsler wins Bristol.
What a move.
Unbelievable.
From way back, Will Worsler puts together 3 of the most amazing laps I've ever seen. And he's drifting it through the corner. What a win for Will Worsler.
Oh, man, he knew he did something special right there. I'm going to go back to see where he restarted. I think he restarted in 10th place on 4 fresh tires. Yes, he did. 10th place, 4 fresh tires. Got up towards the front. Holy smokes, he made that thing work. He knew he had the grip. Wow.
That was, oh my gosh, that was unbelievable. A 3 wide pass in turn number 1 and 2. He was 6th position going into the final lap and made 5 positions. Well, he's with 2 laps to go, I should say. But still, 6 positions and 2 laps to win the race here at Bristol Motor Speedway. My, oh my.
Boy, he did make contact with the 51 machine of Mitch Brown that sent Brown right up the hill. But, man, he kept it in it, man. He really caught the 3 guys that were battling for second place, and he dove it right to the bottom, just like the old Bristol style back in the day of the 90s, and made it work. Unbelievable.
I'm pretty lost for words. That's an amazing finish. He got underneath Mitch Brown. This is when those 2 made a little bit of contact right there. And he just set himself up perfectly. I think he kind of got a great run off the corner bouncing off that number 51. And then look at this 3 wide through 3 and 4. Oh my gosh, the seas parted for that number 29. And he's definitely got a little bit of redemption after 2 tough finishes to start this season. And to break that number 00's winning streak.
My goodness. I bet Bogard was like happy he was on his way to victory lane because they were battling hard for second. But here it comes out of nowhere, that 29 machine. We got to talk to the top three drivers that seen it all here. Will Worsler, Jared Mogard, and Evan Black. We're going to see if we can get those three drivers in here for an interview. Especially Will Worsler. I mean, he was up and down the leaderboard practically the entire race. Let's actually interview Evan Black here first, since he's first in line right now. Evan Black, 3Y TV, have a copy.
Yeah, I got you guys.
Hey, man, that was a crazy, crazy finish. I bet it was already crazy the way you were battling for that second spot, trying to hang on to it. And all of a sudden, here comes out of nowhere the number 29, who restarted in 10th place, going through traffic himself. And in 2 laps, man, you find yourself in 3rd place instead of 2nd place. Tell me about that last restart to the checkered, man.
Well, I thought I was going to get by Mogard there for the lead, but I just got really tight entering turn 1 and 2 and couldn't get the power down out of turn 2, and he was able to clear me there. And at that point, it was just hang on a second and maybe try and catch back up to him, but I wasn't sure if I'd be able to. But on that, with Will coming by, my spotter didn't even call 3 wide before he cleared me. That was absolutely impressive by Will.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell me, you talked about getting tight. How hard is it pass at Bristol, especially during a daytime race, to where, you know, you got fresh tires, you can run that bottom groove like you can, as we see early in the race of what Mogard did and Worsler did towards the end of the race. But it just seems like you guys are just drifting up the hill every time you got on entrance. Tell me about the handling of the car of today's race.
Yeah, the handling was kind of weird. It started out, it was just really tight all around, and then it kind of started to free up a little bit as we got further along in the race, but it mostly freed up on corner exit, and that just caused for it to be a real handful on corner exit. And I couldn't really get to where I could run the bottom very well. I know Jared was running really good down there, and Mitch Brown also, but I just couldn't get the bottom to work, and that made it really hard to pass if the only way you can is get up to their outside.
Yeah, absolutely. But you still had a very good job here tonight at Bristol, man. I'm going to tell you what, I bet you're kind of happy to get out of Bristol just a little bit right now. You finished in the top 10 in every single race so far this season. That is great. You got 2 top 5s in a row. How do you feel about our next race, which is going to be at Pocono Raceway? Any thoughts on Pocono? It's a totally different track than what Bristol is, obviously.
I actually really love Pocono, so I'm actually going into that race kind of thinking I'm going to have a real good shot to get the win there. Pocono has treated me really well in the past, so I have a lot of confidence going into that race, and hopefully we can go and get...
Absolutely there, Evan. You kind of broke up there just for a minute, but before we let you go, is there anybody you would like to thank before we let you go for this evening?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Primetime Racing TV, Primetime Racing, Rapid Fire Graphics, and Fame Apparel.
All right, well, I think you broke up just a little bit there at the end there, Evan, but thank you and congratulations on the third place finish here tonight. Wish it could have been better, though, for you, but maybe next week.
Thank you.
That was Evan Black, who finishes in the 3rd place position. But I'm going to go down to actually, Peter, you want to go down to victory lane to interview with Will? Oh, we got Jared. We got Jared. All right, let's do Jared here. All right, Jared Morgan. Peter, you got him.
Yeah, I'm down here with Jared Mogard. Jared, you almost made it 3 for 3, but you know, 3 consecutive top 2 finishes, that's pretty darn good too. You were there on the lead with that final restart with 5 laps to go. You had a great restart, but where on earth did that number 29 come from?
I don't know, I guess it's as good as mine. I thought the same thing going on the back stretch. I looked up and I seen this green or white car. I'm like, what the hell? And then, yeah, he got a 6th, and that's how it goes sometimes.
Well, nothing really to hang your hat on because, you know, it was a pretty good race for you tonight, and you seemed like once you got out front, you were able to get away a little bit, and it was also looked like pretty difficult to pass, but you made some great moves down on the inside. How did the track progress tonight, and how was the car handling?
I don't know, it was kind of weird. You know, to start the race, everybody was up top, and then I was trying to get the bottom to go really early in the race, and it wasn't there, so I went back up, and then Mitch Brown started making it work, and I got back by him, and I went down there, so I knew something was down there. And then I don't know if it was the weather or the sun or transitioning into the evening or what it was, but it definitely changed there. One of them longer runs, I figured out if you run the top in 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 was a little bit more shaded, so you could run the bottom better. Stuff a little bit more on the bottom there. So I don't know. It definitely moved around. It's kind of like a dirt track where the line kind of moved around a little bit, which made it fun. But yeah, it was still Bristol. It was still pretty hard to pass. But had a good run. Just come up short there at the end. There, got a 50-50 shot on what's going to happen there, and we were about a corner away from making it work.
Yeah, when I saw that pretty much the top 8 had stayed out, I completely thought you had it made, because I had no idea that anyone could make it from that far back. But, like I said, 3 consecutive top 2 finishes to begin the year. That's definitely nothing to be upset about. You're going to be leading the points going into next week at Pocono. What do you think about the Tricky Triangle?
Yeah, it's been a good start to the year. By far one of the best starts I've had over here at the ASRS. So we're happy with it. I mean, obviously we're disappointed we wanted to win, but the storyline the last couple of weeks has been Will and his pit road, so it's pretty cool to see him put them to rest with the win. But yeah, we'll go on to next week. Pocono, I said I wasn't looking forward to Bristol, and I finished second. I'm really not looking forward to Pocono, and I don't think I'll finish in the top 10. If I finish in the top 10 next week, it's going to be a win.
All right, well, that is Jared Mogard. Jared, before we let you go, you got any shout-outs for us?
Yes, I got to thank you guys for doing the broadcast. I think we're on iRacing Live, which is pretty cool as well. So thank you guys for all that, and all the fans for tuning in. I got to thank my sponsors, I Power Computers, TDS Internet, Coffman Racing Graphics, Twitchy Race Reports, and all the boys at MOSRN. We're looking to keep it rolling. That's all we can do, and thanks to Jim and everybody for putting on.
All right, Jared. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us. Again, a second place finish here tonight at Bristol Motor Speedway, and we will see you next week at Pocono.
Yep, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, Tanner Sharp is down there. I think we might have one more. No, here is Tanner Sharp. He is down there in victory lane with your race winner, Will Worsler. Tanner, this is one of the best interviews I'm sure we'll see all year.
Yeah, I really had to run down to victory lane to catch up with Will Worsler. Will, you got a copy there, buddy?
Yes, sir. How you doing, Tanner?
First off, buddy, I'm doing great. And secondly, I'm really great because that was a whale of a race right there, man. I didn't think anybody on tires was going to come up and actually win the race with so little laps to go, but you made it work somehow, some way. Man, take me from that restart. You come down, you get tires, you restart in 10th. Take me through all the way to the checkered flag.
My thoughts were with the way the last 2 weeks have gone, and the way that I was not able to find any sort of comfort level in this race tonight, I decided to go ahead and take a chance, and I think I went in 10th and came out 10th, and I was able to start on the outside, which is kind of where I wanted to be. And I mean, green flag came out, caution flag never did, and it was go time. I apologize to the 51. I know I went in and slid up into him, but I mean, I was doing what I had to do. I did not hit him on purpose, but I mean, it really played out. Everything went my way. Everything had to go my way for me to win, and that's the way it happened.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It totally went your way here tonight. It actually went your way because you've been fast. We know you've been fast because you've started on the pole the last 2 weeks, with the exception of tonight. You started second, so I know you're fast. But at the same time, it just seems like you have a different car gear and race trim. You know what I'm saying? But although come down and get them 4 fresh tires, and you put you in victory lane here tonight. Although take me through your race overall, though. You said you were struggling here and there, couldn't get down path. Man, what's it like out there, especially with track conditions changing? Obviously, day to night transitions on the sim as well. How was it feeling for you all night long?
It was kind of miserable. I've been out of this game for 7 or 8 months or so, and I came back specifically to run this league. And so my muscle memory's, 2 builds ago, and I'm having trouble adapting. I can be fast for a lap, as you've seen in qualifying and whatnot, but race time, it's a different story, and I'm still trying to find my comfort level. So it was a struggle, really, the whole race.
All right, absolutely. But hopefully it's not too much of a struggle for our next race, which is going to take place at Pocono Raceway next week. How are your thoughts on Pocono Raceway? Totally different racetrack than what Bristol and also what Kentucky and Atlanta were.
Yeah, Pocono, if it's a deal where the conditions and setup is such where it's going to be loose and you've got to drive it off the quarters, I typically do well there. But if it's tight, it's anybody's game. And really, with the way the builds have changed since my last race there, it's anybody's game anyway. I mean, I don't really know what to expect after tonight, so I'm just going to kind of go in and hope to finish, with little or no incidents, and then get a top 10.
All right, Will. Well, before we let you go, is there any kind of thank yous or shout outs you would like to give out before we let you go for celebration?
Yeah, Tanner, appreciate that. I want to give a shout out to you guys at 3 Wide. Do a good job. And I need to thank Troy Haight and Hater Racing for letting me represent them in this league, and Jim Foose for the opportunity to run in the league. Sam Maxwell putting up the practice that he does. They're all great.
All right, well, thank you for taking the time to come talk with us. Congratulations. What a will of a finish here at Bristol. One of the best finishes at Bristol that I've seen on the sim that I can remember. Congratulations. Hopefully go get them again next week.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
That is Will Worsler, everybody, who won Bristol here tonight, and in such a great fashion towards the end of the race there under the final restart. The last 7 laps it was, getting it to the front and winning on the last lap practically. So before we let everybody go, we got a couple of thank yous to give out ourselves. First off, the series title of the ASRS Cup Series, it's called the Sim Marketing Solutions. Thank you for sponsoring the Cup Series of the American Sim Racing Series. Also, giving out thank yous to league sponsors, to Sim TV for their packages as well. Thank you for letting us use them. Sam Maxwell Customs, Sim Marketing Solutions, who we just mentioned, Driven Designs, iRacing, Twitchy Race Reports, iRacingiFlags, Kirkwood Transportation, and Coffman Racing Graphics. Thank you so much for sponsoring the leagues. Thanks to league organizer Jim Foose and other organizers a part of this American Sim Racing Series, putting on such a great show every single week as well. And thank you to you viewers who check us out every single week here on 3 Wide TV, no matter what race it is, but especially here on Tuesday nights for the American Sim Racing Series. Also, thanks to the team tonight. You got Peter Short, who's right next to me. Thank you, sir, for such a great job up here in the booth. Thank you for the camera work there, Carlos, back there in the production truck, doing all the button pushing that you can. And Peter, final thoughts of Bristol and future thoughts for Pocono.
Well, I went back and found out that Will Worsler led 1 lap in this race. The 1 lap that mattered. And definitely he will take that momentum into next week at Pocono. We got 200 miles in the DMLC Racing Channel Pocono. 150 miles, the DMLC Racing Channel Pocono 150 next week. The Tricky Triangle, it's an interesting track. There's no track like it on the schedule. It's only got 3 corners, what turn 4, and it will be interesting to see what momentum carries over to next week, because we have a great battle for the points lead, and it's something definitely to keep an eye on with next week's race here on 3 Wide TV. But my oh my, what a race here tonight. It's kind of left me speechless.
It's left me a little bit speechless too. I had to catch my breath with all the shouting that I was doing as well, and I still have yet to take a drink of water or anything like that. But before I do, we should go through the unofficial race results. Will Worsler leads 1 lap here tonight, like you said, Peter, and gets the victory on the last lap. Jerry Mogard was going for 3 wins in a row. Will have to settle for a 2nd place finish. Evan Black was going to fight Mogard until he started fighting with 2 other drivers, but still has to remain in 3rd spot. Mark Whitley in 4th. Corey Silva rounding out the top 5 after starting 23rd here tonight. Mitch Brown in 6th. Troy Hates finishes in 7th. Alan Young kept it clean all night after starting 30th, finishes 8th. Jim Foose gets his first top 10 of the season after starting 25th. He's in 9th. And Andy Veltman, who saw some trouble here and there, still gets a solid top 10 finish in 10th place there, Peter.
Yeah, in the 11th position was Jonathan Holstein, also having issues throughout the night, but able to come home with that respectable 11th place. Chris Forster was also involved in a few incidents tonight, but he comes home with a respectable 12th place. Last car on the lead laps was Alex Geese in that number 77 Trek Chevrolet. And behind him was Josh Walker, the only car finishing one lap down in 14th position. Scott Smith finishes 15th, Jamie Moore 16th, Tim Knott 17th, Clarence Bonner coming home in 18th, Michael Krobach 19th, Ty Hester finishing in 20th.
21st position, Jason Stewart. 22nd, Richard Stallings. Travis Rucker finishes 23rd. Jack Wells, multiple laps down, finishes in 24th. Danny Rogers, 25th. Tyler Sawville in 26th. Alexander Pelican finishes 27th. Sam Maxwell started top 5, but has to settle for a 28th place finish here tonight. Kevin Sargent, 29th. And rounding out the top 30, Brad Cross, Peter.
In 31st position, we had Jared Haggerty, who started off with a good start, but unfortunately was unable to finish tonight and finishes 31st. Lee Staples, 32nd. Kelsey Rogers, 33rd. Devin Serra, who had another great start to tonight's race, but he unable to finish 34th. Brian Yazik had a little bit of administration issues there. Unfortunately, he is only going to be credited with a 35th place finish, 156 laps down. Robbie Baskins was the last driver to start the event. He finishes 36th. The drivers not starting tonight's race: Pete Baskins, Chris Lane, Chris Titus, Kevin Mingus, and then your 41st place driver, who was Kenny Baker.
All right, so if you want some more great ASRS action of the Sim Marking Solutions Cup Series, be sure to join us next week, Tuesday night, on the 22nd of January at Pocono Raceway for the DMLC Racing Channel Pocono 150, 60 laps there, the 29th of January. That would be next week, right? Yep, that's next week. Please be sure to join us next week for that, for sure, for more ASR action, especially what you just seen here tonight. Except Pocono, what Peter just said, it's 3 different corners. So there's no turn 4, just 3 different corners at that racetrack, and it's going to be a lot of fun for sure. So be sure to catch that next week, Tuesday night, same time, same place, here on 3Y TV. I'm Tanner Sharp, Peter Short, Carlos Costa. See you then, everybody.